Checkpoints is presented by pharmaceutical company GM Pharma.
New investors, new opportunities are pivotal for Georgia's economic growth, especially when all the international outlooks show that two-digit development in the country is slowing and growth rates get closer to the usual levels, 4 to 5% annually. When thinking about what could drive investors to invest more in Georgia, one answer definitely is transparency. BARTA Annual Report and Transparency Award was established in 2019 as part of a joint project of financial engagement and accountability between the EU and the World Bank after the European Union launched a fundamental review of corporate reporting. The EU is committed to the sustainable transition of its economy. This demands that corporate sustainability reporting assumes equal prominence to financial reporting. Accordingly, the initiated Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive requires that from 2025 for the financial year 2024, some 50,000 large and listed European Union companies and many large non-EU companies with significant operations on the EU to publish sustainability reports using European sustainability reporting standards. Similarly, at global level, the International Sustainability Standards Board has issued its inaugural standards, IFRS S1 and IFRS S2, ushering in a new era of sustainability-related disclosures in capital markets worldwide. This year, BARTA, for the first time, opened to all first-category companies and groups, in addition to all companies that are public interest entities, including companies in the A and B listing categories, which have already applied. All companies listed on the exchange automatically participated in the evaluation. This includes companies that satisfy eligibility criteria, of course, namely an unqualified audit opinion and timely submission of all mandatory reporting applicable to the company's category. Before the big day, December 15, when the companies finally find out who the winner is, the Checkpoints interviewed Adrian Fozzard, practice manager for the governance global practice in Europe and Central Asia at the World Bank, about the BARTA effect for companies and investment climate in general.
Well, Mr. Adrian, thank you for taking your time and taking our questions. Let us start with BARTA itself and the need for BARTA, need for transparency.
Well, Georgia is moving towards becoming a very competitive, digital, business-friendly and green economy. I mean, you've had very successful growth in 2020, 10%, which is well above your peers. And growth is very critical for jobs and creating opportunities for everybody in Georgia. And the critical thing for creating jobs is to be able to invest. And the financial reporting is a critical tool for investors. It allows them to get information about what they're investing in. So the governance of the quality of governance of the companies where they're investing in, the sustainability of their finances, company performance, company risks, all information that helps investors make decisions. So BARTA, the Best Annual Report and Transparency Award, seeks to try and encourage companies to implement good quality annual reports and improve the quality of financial information. So the BARTA uses as international standards, is compliant with the reviews are compliant with national legislation. They look at the narrative reporting, the quality of the financial and performance information presented, and the story behind the report. So the first report, BARTA report, was issued the set of awards were in 2019. At that time, we just looked at the listed companies. Since then, it's grown very well. It's quite sure there's a lot of growing interest. 2020, there was the first self-nominations. In 2022, we scored 17 companies, 6 of which were self-nominated. And now in 2023, there are 29 companies, and 12 of which are self-nominated. So there's a growing interest in this sort of the awards and companies trying to participate to demonstrate their good performance in this area.
So, Mr.
And
Adrian, how would you assess these numbers that you have mentioned? What is the tendency over the years? Can we say that transparency is gaining momentum among businesses?
Yeah, I think so. I think companies are definitely showing more interest in participating. The quality of the reports is improving too. Obviously, when the reporting began, I think companies were a little cautious, one might say, hesitant, perhaps even afraid to provide information about their businesses. Some of them expressed concerns that competitors might misuse this information. But I think there's growing awareness amongst in the corporate sector that they really do need to provide good quality information if they're going to secure investors. And it's important about building trust with the public, investors, and particularly so in terms of if companies are trying to go public. I mean, there was a great case of one company, MBC, which is a microfinance institution, that received the BARTA Honorary Award for small and medium companies back in 2021 and managed to go public this year on the Georgian stock market. So obviously, quality of reporting can have direct benefits to companies.
From this standpoint, Mr. Adrian, what would you say remains like a stubborn challenge, so to say?
Probably the way the companies don't provide frank information. They resort to boilerplate language that could be applied to any company. So the narrative about the corporate reporting doesn't really provide details that are specific to the company, or relevant information about unique circumstances and performance of the company. Makes the reports less engaging, difficult for readers to understand and interpret. It comes across a little bit as though companies are trying to hide something when they aren't frank in their assessments. And tell us that obviously the purpose of any report is to communicate. It's to tell a story. So what is the story? What are the challenges that the companies are facing? What's their trends in performance? What's their aspirations? And how are they performing against their goals?
What would you count as the most important achievement on this path towards transparency?
Well, I think obviously the growing participation and the quality of information provided by the corporate sector. I think the Service of Accounting, Reporting and Audit Supervision has played a very important role in this. It's provided an information platform that it provides information across the corporate sector. It's used by that platform is used by a diverse audience, international rating agencies, think tanks, the business community, the academia, investors. So obviously the broader availability of information through that platform has been very important. I think we've also seen the quality of the information presented improving. But that's based in terms of the number of reports, company reports that are submitted without errors and then are sent direct back, so that they're not sent back for correction and are published directly. So the proportion of companies that's providing results without errors is now 85% for medium enterprises and 91% for small enterprises. And that's excellent performance record. I think BARTA has contributed in some way to that because it's become recognized as a prestigious award for companies to aspire to and receive. And that's helped sort of foment the growing interest in this area.
Would you say that EU candidacy status and our closer tie on the path towards the EU integration could also become a catalyzing factor in this need for more transparency?
Yes, I think absolutely. It's going to be the major driver in the years ahead. I mean, already the EU is the main trading partner of Georgia. It accounts for over 20% of trade. It's the main source of foreign direct investment. Accounts for about 50% of foreign investment. 21% comes from the EU. These are from the UK. These are and 8% from the United States. These are countries which have very high standards of financial reporting, and they will be looking for partners in Georgia that meet those standards. So if Georgia is to take advantage of its candidacy and future membership of the European Union, they will certainly need to meet EU's reporting standards for financial reporting, and that's going to be important for market access and in order to be able to negotiate and financial markets and mobilize investors.
All of us would like to hear, obviously, what are your recommendations on the one hand to BARTA, its team, and on the other to the policymakers?
Well, I think one of the big challenges going forward is going to be around the issue of corporate sustainability reporting. The EU directive from January 23 requires all EU companies to comply with corporate sustainability reporting standards. That's 50,000 large and listed companies across the European Union. And it's going to be increasingly important for trading partners to comply with those same sustainability reporting requirements. That's a huge challenge. It requires new sets of skills for companies, new challenges as well in terms of the quality of reporting that will be needed. So I think really in terms of the standards within Georgia that will need to align with those reporting requirements for sustainability reporting. So at this point, Georgia really needs to be thinking about how they prepare for this new challenge. Some kind of country action plan will be needed on sustainability reporting to work out how this will be implemented in the Georgian context, how this will be applied in terms of national standards. For the businesses, I think the big challenge is just to be authentic, to be realistic and share a good story about your company. Provide good evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry?
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Please.
So no, I think for most companies, what you really need to do is prepare a good story that shows your achievements, shows your successes, but is also honest and transparent about challenges that you face. This is particularly important for investors. They need to have an understanding of what's going well and where there are risks. And honesty is always, and transparency is always the best practice. Ultimately, information comes to light. It's better that this information is disclosed by corporate partners. So we encourage companies to really focus on the quality of their reports and ensure that they're timely, factual, and tell a good story.
So can we say that tell a good story is the main message that you want to leave from this interview for the businesses today?
Yes, I think so. I mean, my colleagues would, in their notes for me, said make a good narrative, but I think it's better said as a story. You know, tell the story of your company, what it's doing today, how it's performing, what the issues you're facing, and what the challenges are for the future. That information is absolutely essential for investors. Letting investors know what your company is and how it's performing helps you mobilize new resources. That is the story.
Exactly, and let me say that the story is also important for us, for media representatives. Thank you so much, Mr. Adrian, for this very interesting interview, and thank you for taking your time.
The Checkpoints is presented by pharmaceutical company GM Pharma.